News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Chris Crock Show. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, Donald J. Trump, as of right now, is told he can't do business for 3 years in the state of New York. Has been fined $350 million, but that's also not including another punitive levy on him in this case of approximately 93 or 96 million. It's basically just shy of 450 billion total for everything that he was ordered to pay. And the interest will accrue immediately. And if he doesn't start paying on it, the interest will accrue and it will pile up worse and worse and worse. And the district attorney, Letitia James, who campaigned on this, let me play the campaign bites. It's a little montage of what she said before she even got elected. And her platform was not, I'm going to throw murderers, rapists, molesters, and criminals in jail. Her platform is, I'm going to get Orange Man because he is bad. And that was literally her platform. Orange Man, take him out. That's my job as a New York State Attorney General, not going after the bad guys. And here that was.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. I believe that the president of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
All right, that was her campaign right there. That was her campaign platform. And so today she regaled. By the way, in a moment we're going to play Trump's speech after the verdict came down from Mar-a-Lago. It's about 2.5 minutes long. It's something you must hear. Does he go nuts? Does he lose his cool? Does he freak out and act like they'd want him to act? You know, like he's defeated, beaten, and a freak, like Big Fannie Willis in where was that? In Atlanta today or yesterday. Did you know she actually wore her dress backwards? If you look at it, you can see it on my Twitter feed. It's pinned at the top. It appears that she literally put on her dress backwards and has a flag like almost in distress. That woman's getting hit hard on everything. She's falling apart in that case, obviously. But in this case, Letitia James is just, it's really vitriol on her that she did today, and you know it's a hatred of Orange Man, and it's just bitter and unhealthy, as we all know. But the White House loves her. Joe Biden loves her. She is a perfect little tool of the Biden administration to go after Orange Man and try to remove him as their only candidate, so Joe can hide and just retake the presidency again with pleasure. But here's the her post-trial verdict. And by the way, there's no jury. No jury. It was just Judge Engeron, who is a leftist nutbag, and her, Letitia James. No jury. Let me play the Letitia James verdict, a couple of cuts from that today afterwards. You can hear the venom. I want you to hear the venom this woman has.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal.
By the way, how tacky is that? You know what I mean? The art of the deal, the art of the steal. It's like, it's so contrived. It's like, come on, just let somebody else write lyrics. That was really actually tacky, but the rest of this is real vitriol. Here we go.
This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal. And he did all of this with the help of the other defendants.
Angry. You can see me on Facebook Live. You can see my facial expressions. She's like, the woman's overtaken with anger.
2 adult sons and senior executives at the Trump Organization. And so, after 11 weeks of trial, we showed the staggering extent of his fraud and exactly how Donald Trump and the other defendants deceived banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions for their own personal gain.
I'm so angry. That's not how justice is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, this was the deal, and this is why he was such a criminal or wrong or whatever. And we have taken care of this. She's the one she's freaking out. Now let's hear. Did Trump freak out? They want him to freak out and melt down and look like a defeated man who is lost his marbles. Did he do that? This is a little bit more of a newer Trump. I swear to you it is. And I'm not under any aversions that he's going to, always clean up his act. He won't. That's who he is. But he does have a smoother delivery that is more reserved appropriately. Here he is today. This was his full speech. Brief but powerful speech from Mar-a-Lago. Stepped out of some door entrance there and just gave this.
But you don't see it here. So I just want to say this. You build a great company. There was no fraud. The banks all got their money, 100%. They love Trump. They testified that Trump is great customer, one of our best customers. They testified beautifully. And the judge knows that. He's just a corrupt person. And we knew that from the beginning. We knew it right from the beginning because he wouldn't give it to the commercial division. This judge thought Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million and it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. So we realized that. He ruled against me before he even got the case. He ruled against me. He said I was guilty. He didn't know what I was guilty of before he even got the case. And Letitia James, that's another case altogether. She's a horribly corrupt attorney general, and it's all having to do with election interference. There were no victims because the banks made a lot of money. They made $100 million. And by the way, I paid approximately $300 million in taxes as the migrants come in and they take over New York. I paid over this period of years over $300 million in taxes, and they want me out. Oh, let's see if we can get them out. These are radical left Democrats. They're lunatics, and it's election interfering. So I just want to thank you for being here. We'll appeal. We'll be successful, I think, because, frankly, if we're not successful, New York State is gone. People are moving out of New York State, and because of this, they're going to move out at a much faster rate. They used a statute. It's a consumer fraud statute that's never been used for a thing like this before. They used it on me because I'm running for president. I'm beating Biden by a lot. We're beating not only the Republicans, we're beating Biden by a lot. The poll came out today. We're up 20 points on Biden. If I weren't running, none of this stuff would have ever happened. None of these lawsuits would have ever happened. Nothing would. I would have had a nice life. But I enjoy this life for a different reason. We're going to make America great again. These are corrupt people. These are people that shouldn't be allowed to do the things they do. And they're using this as weaponization against a political opponent who's up a lot in the polls and always will be because...
All right, that is the end. It was cut short a little, it sounds like there. I don't know why, but here's what I want to say. It was a pleasure watching that speech on fake news CNN. I don't have cable, and Fox, you got to drop like $50 to just be able to access Fox through Hulu or something. It's like, this is stupid. So I have free fake news CNN through HBO. So I watched his speech knowing that CNN was carrying it live, and I liked it because he was in control. He was commanding the situation, and he didn't lose his cool, and he laid out all these facts that were, I was just sitting there like, I was like, slugging away at the air as he was nailing them. I'm like, yes, this is on fake news CNN. I was so happy. And of course they panicked and said, well, we're going to be fact checking this speech too coming up. Of course you are. That's okay. Don't worry. People can see what the man said and see that he's reasonable and is reasoned in his approach. And she's not. She's angry and such. And so I have several questions for you on this. Because there are no victims. In the whole history of the statute, 100 years or so apparently, there has never been anybody prosecuted, a business, anything like this in this case. It was not meant for this. It was meant for consumers being defrauded with snake oil salesman type things and products and companies and such. And it was never intended for real estate stuff with a business. Second of all, a New York University where I stayed at for 4 months during the summer when I interned at WABC Talk Radio, our former sister station, and Dateline NBC in the summer of '95, and I became friends with several New York University Stern School of Business guys. These are the most elite in the country for business. When they were interning, they were working 12 to 15 hours a day. It was crazy. And because that's how they roll in business and in Wall Street and such in New York. And they were, so these New York University students, I learned about the Stern School of Business, and it's one of the most elite top business schools in the country. And there was a man who was like a top professor. I don't know if he's a leader of the department, but he's on that kind of a level. And he testified in the trial that Trump's assets, his finances, and everything that through all this business deal were perfect. It was fine. There was nothing wrong. It was one of the best ones he's seen, is what he said. Something to that effect. Now, so we testified for Trump. Imagine that, a New York University professor. Number 2, this statute has never, ever, not only has it never been used in a case like this, nobody's ever been prosecuted in history for this. Trump is the first person in 100-year-old law because it was not meant for this. And they're appealing this immediately. They have a small window to appeal, so they're doing that. They may have already filed it today. I'm getting rave reviews from my attorney friends who are knowledgeable about this kind of world of business and such, about how she did, Alina Habba. And so there's a good chance they can get it turned over on appeal. The amount is absurd. It's designed to destroy this man. And they're designing this they hit his sons, 2 of his sons, Eric and Don Jr., for no reason. They had nothing to do with any of these transactions. Their names are on none of these transactions. They slapped them each with $4 million in fines, and they can't do business for 2 years. And Trump can't do business for 3 and is banned from doing anything with any business or financial officer. It is, I think Trump's right, too, that businesses in New York City are going to think twice. Because if you rub her the wrong way, she'll come after you next. It's completely unfriendly. So I would look for more businesses to flee, and that they're going to be terrified. All these massive Wall Street banks and such are going to be terrified that this woman's going to turn on them next because she said greed. Well, that's the same thing that you could say about the Wall Street firms and the big banks. So I want to ask you a few questions, and this is an insane double standard, as you know and I know. We'll get to that in a little bit, but do you think this is a double standard, as I do? The justice for Trump? And what do you think needs to happen in this to end this double standard? What do you want to see happen that would end this double standard? And do you think this will end up destroying Trump's business, his businesses, I should say, and his wealth? This could seriously damage him because he has to produce money a lot right now if he wants to not get fines and all this interest. So the questions are, is this a double standard to you? What do you think needs to happen to end this double standard? And what happened to a candidate's right to question the validity of an election? This kind of stems from all that, ultimately. Not this case, but it still is about that, too. Democrats still do election denial right now in real time. And what happened to a candidate's right to question that, the election? And do you think this will end up destroying Trump's businesses and wealth? That's an important one. I don't know. We don't know. And that scares me for anybody. And how do you think this will affect his campaign and his life? Whether he can still win. Do you think this is going to push listeners, viewers, or what do you call it, politicians, voters away? I think this is going to rally them. You're going to have an effect like what some African American people who've called in on my show have said, that this is just like the persecution of Atlanta rappers, RICO statutes to take down Atlanta rappers. They're not going to like this, and that's why one of the reasons why Snoop Dogg now embraces Trump, or at least says, I got no issue with him anymore. None. So I think this is something they're seeing as persecution, something they can relate to in feeling persecuted by the law and by people in control of the law and power as well. And so how do you think this is going to affect his campaign? I think he's going to get more votes out of this in this case. You think it'll help him? I do. Get reelected? I do. 800-288-WBAP. I want to hear from you right now. Lines wide open. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. Coming up next, the Biden administration is already trying to rig the deck if Trump wins. I'm not kidding you, to stymie him as president. You're not going to believe this. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, excuse me for that. And now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let's go to Don in Colorado, talking about, by the way, Don, before we pop you on here, Trump fined over $355 million plus around almost $100 million in additional fines, so it's about $455 million almost, or $450 million or so. This is ridiculous, political, and stupid. And my questions for you are, is this a double standard to you? And what needs to happen to end this double standard? And what happened to a candidate's right to just question the validity of an election, which they still do on the Democrat side a ton, like including right now. But they're not orange man, they're not a Republican. And do you think this is going to end up destroying Trump's businesses and wealth? I don't know. And that scares me. And I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, I don't know. And we have to see this play out, but I don't think it will per se, hopefully. But you don't freaking know. And how do you think this is going to affect his campaign? You think he'll still win? I actually think this part here is more persecution, legal persecution. I think it's going to help him, like other cases of hell. I think you're going to see his numbers go up even more. Everybody knows this is Joe Biden. And lastly, how do you think this will affect his life for Trump? Whether he can still win in November, whether he can still live in Mar-a-Lago and keep his jet, his businesses, etc. It's very concerning. To me, it is. Don in Colorado, you've called in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. We got 4 lines open. Hello, Don. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Good evening, Chris. And like I said before, hope the FM thing does work out, like I said last time. I will say this. I'm agreeing with you that it might work in his favor, but they're hoping that there's a way to get a scarlet letter onto Donald J. Trump as the only way to get Joe Biden across the finish line and try to get enough independent voters who think that, Biden's the lesser of two evils or whatever, to get him in a second term and keep the Democrats in party. But I pretty much agree with everything that you said about what's happening to him. And this is political persecution because Donald Trump does not put up with the guff of the Democrats or pretty much the Marxism that they've embraced, if not for a long time.
Do you agree with me that this should help boost his numbers because people can see that it's just plain persecution? And I guess that's my last question for you, Don.
If the people do see it as a persecution, which I think it is, if enough people are convinced of it, then yes, they'll come to his side. And, seeing that Biden has messed them up so many times over, he makes Jimmy Carter look good, as well as Biden's boss.
Yes, I got to roll, but I want to say thank you for your great call again, Don. Look forward to your next one. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. The AI, before we get to the AI part, I wanted to tell you, though, here's what it is. The Biden administration is preparing for a possible Trump win, and the AP reported today that they're, quote, my impression, one of the people told AP in the report today, is my impression is Biden administration is taking very seriously the potential threat of Trump winning and is trying to do things now. They're trying to prevent him from firing a bunch of gutting these federal employees, the deep state. And, quote, the AP said that liberal supporters of the and Joe Biden's administration in Washington are embracing for a Trump victory. They're installing roadblocks, quote unquote, to limit the latter, Trump's ability to fire thousands of government workers. AP reported a cabal of, literally, this is what they said, a cabal of left-leaning experts, legal advisors, and others are at the behest of Biden, and they're urging him to prepare, actually at their behest, to prepare for the worst, another Trump presidency starting up in 2025. They're fighting everything. They're reclassifying workers so they can't be fired as easily. All this kind of stuff. These people are vile, they're nuts, and they're terrible. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number. They're mentally unstable. 800-288-9227. We got 3 lines open right now. News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. I want to hear from you right now. Right now, 800-288-WBAP.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal. This long-running fraud was intentional.
Did what's her name, Letitia James, get that out of a fortune cookie? You know what I mean? The art of the deal, the art of the steal. Whoa, you've mesmerized me. Why don't you just do your job and not try to woo us with stupid limericks? This is News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. I am a leprechaun. It's stupid limericks time. Hey, how about some justice limericks, please? About justice in the justice system. Nonetheless, Trump ordered to pay $355 million, and then you add on almost $100 million on top of that for some other fines. It comes to almost $450 million, almost $500 million. Obscene, absurd, never been prosecuted, etc. The statute is for people that sell you snake oil stuff and cheat you and lie to you through fraudulent products. And this has never been used for this, and it never will again. Although if I were a business, I would not want to do business there anymore because anything can happen to you if they don't like you either, or they find out you're a Republican. Watch out. Bogus case, horrible, and I actually think this is going to help him with his reelection. I think his numbers are going to go up a little bit more. It's just a full persecution and attempting to take him out via the legal system. Is this a double standard? What needs to happen to end this double standard? And what happened to a candidate's right to question the validity of an election, which is what this kind of all stems from ultimately, not this case, but in general. And do you think this is going to end up destroying Trump's businesses and wealth? You never know. I'm not thinking it will, but I was also like, maybe it will today. I was sitting there thinking after this came down. And then how do you think this will affect his campaign and his life, Trump's life and campaign, whether he can still win in November, and if he still can live at Mar-a-Lago, keep his jet, his businesses, everything, It's pretty pathetically stupid case. He's appealing it. But I want to hear from you. We have one line open, so jump on now, because we're going to blitz through a whole bunch of your callers that are just coming in now. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Let's go to, you still want caller one first? Okay, let's go to Ken in Arlington. It looks like it's blocked off or something weird now. Can you put him on hold? That way I can put him right on. There you go. Thanks, brother, man. Ken in Arlington, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hello, sir.
Hey, Chris. Hey, could this be considered election interference? Because they're trying everything they possibly can to keep Donald Trump from getting in office, just like the COVID thing.
If they somehow get a hold of emails or written notes or documentation or witnesses that would say that this is done to take out Orange Man from being a candidate, then that maybe you could. But I'm not aware of it being able to be used but it is you know it and I know it. It's a way to try to destroy this man and his reputation and take him out from running for election. Yes.
Well, there's no emails or writing now, but the one that's in Georgia, where she said that she's going to take
Big
him
Fannie
out.
Willis, the one who wore a dress backwards in court yesterday and was shaking.
Yeah, she says she's going to take him out. So, I mean, and that's part of,
she's going to, this case is on a pimples, on a butt, hairs, cliff about to fall off right now. Right. And she also, how this plays out between her and Nathan Wade, her boyfriend, who she went on 7 vacations with, lavish ones, on the dime of the prosecutor's office, when she said when she was running for election that she would never, she was running because she's not going to have sex with the people on her payroll. Well, she did just that. And she had sex with them before, during, and up till recently, apparently, according to her own testimony. But so Big Fanny's in trouble. She could lose her, or be disbarred. He could be disbarred, depending on how this plays out and what sifts out in the evidence. As far as the case, this is most likely going to be, it's either going to be dismissed until another prosecutor in a year or two wants to retake it up, in which case it'll take 2 years to reestablish a RICO case because everything's been tainted through these guys, and or it'll be assigned immediately, alternately, to another DA who could be middle of the road and say, I'm not doing this, I see no crime here, we're moving on, or investigating it in 2 years from now saying, I see no crime here, we're moving on, or be more conservative and just say, I got it, thank you, and then announce it a week or 2 or 3, I reviewed everything, we're not going to prosecute this case. So that Georgia case, you will not see any movement on the case that is pronounceable towards an actual arrest, or I should say not an arrest, but a trial beginning for at least another 1 to 2 years, and at least, because you have to reestablish a RICO case with 18 defendants, and that's complicated. So you'll have to do a new one, a new prosecutor, and it'll be out of jurisdiction most likely. So that won't happen until Orange Man. They're not going to prosecute him. They can't during Orange Man's presidency if he wins. So this won't happen until 5-6 years from now, in which case I think they're going to just not do it. So it's done, I think.
Let's hope the New York one falls apart just like the Georgia one did.
It's going to the appellate court within a week or two or three, and they're going to be liberal. Obviously, they all are for that state, but they might use their rational decision making, like the Supreme Court justices just did in their hearing of the case that was just done. Remember that one? I can't remember what it was.
Yes, sir.
What was that case done again? We got the oral arguments out of it. It was for Colorado versus Trump.
Colorado.
Yeah,
right.
And everyone save one of the liberal justices all were completely saying this is ridiculous in their questioning. So it's going to be 8-1 or 9-0 on that. So I think that's what we can have, very liberal justices that are like, this is not one of our views or values. This is just plain up wrong legally.
Sure.
You could get that, quite possibly, or you might not, and then he has to go one more level prior to the Supreme Court. We'll see how that goes. But let's pray on that, and I mean that. I don't want this man to be hit like this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's go to our next caller. We have two lines open, guys. Chime in right now. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let's go to caller number 2. That would be Alex in Dallas. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Mr. Kroc. It is a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling in, my friend, and thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, I listen to you all the time.
Thank you. Wait. You're a first time caller. I listen to myself a lot too, by the way, and thank you for listening to me. I too am a fan of my show. Here you go. You're a first time caller, so here you go.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sitting on my hands to keep from clapping. I just wanted to say that, well, I didn't expect to get past your screener, actually. I just wanted to make a comment that I compare Trump to George Washington because George Washington was a great patriot. And I don't think that Biden should have been impeached. I think he should have been, I think he should be tried for treason, is what I'm thinking.
Why?
And I'm sorry?
Why?
Did you say why?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, yes, why?
Well, because he's against the United States. I mean, he doesn't even wear a flag on his coat, on his jacket, on his hat.
That's not an impeachable offense, but I will tell you this. We're going to be talking about I think 3 more topics ahead of the line in the 9 o'clock hour somewhere. That according to law professor Jonathan Turley from GW Law, top legal scholar, constitutional scholar, the Biden administration right now is using resources, their staff and official justice people to going after Orange Man. He could be impeached because of for lying about special counsel Robert Hur and using his staff to spread lies about it and tell mistruths about a federal prosecutor and what they've decided on their case and their official documents. So that literally is an impeachable offense according to him. That's actually very serious in his opinion. I'll share that with you a little later. I got to roll, my friend, but I look forward to your next call, okay?
All right.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Caller number 2. Here we come. We're going to talk to Jason in North Richmond Hills next, as well as Randy and McKinney. You two guys are right out of the box. Coming up next, we have 3 lines open right now for you to call, and I'd love to hear from you. Chime in right now. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Is this a double standard, this legal case with Trump finding him, $355 million plus another almost $100 million, banning him from working for a couple of years, 3 years, and so much more? What needs to happen, in your opinion? How can we end this double standard? What should happen to do that, to end it? And what happened to a candidate's right to question the validity of an election, which is what a lot of this stems from? Orange Man bad, And then do you think this is going to end up destroying Trump's business and his wealth? How do you think it'll affect his campaign, his life, whether he can still win in November, and if he can still live at Mar-a-Lago and keep his jet and his businesses? I'm serious. You don't know. We don't know. We got 2 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I want to hear from you, and we'll play another tiny highlight from Trump's speech, his reaction this afternoon, next on the Chris Kroc Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.
But you don't see it here. So I just want to say this. You build a great company. There was no fraud. The banks all got their money, 100%. They love Trump. They testified that Trump is great customer, one of our best customers. They testified beautifully, and the judge knows that. He's just a corrupt person. And we knew that from the beginning. We knew it right from the beginning because he wouldn't give it to the commercial division. This judge thought Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million, and it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. So
there is President Trump. Part of his speech this afternoon after they ordered him to pay up to $455 million with other fines totally in there. Can't do business for 3 years, etc. Just terrifying, horrifying. Horrifying, terrifying is not the right word. It's scary if you're a business owner there and you peeve off one of these political people that want to persecute you and take away your business. I can guarantee you, big businesses there are shuddering. Like oh crap! Like this is. I would honestly think there's going to be more businesses getting out of there because they'll be next if they don't, kiss the ring. We have two lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Is this a double standard to you? What needs to happen to end this double standard? And what happened to a candidate's right to question the validity of an election, which is what a lot of this stems from ultimately? And do you think this is going to end up destroying Trump's businesses and wealth? And how do you think this is going to affect his campaign and his life? Whether you can still win in November and if you can still live in Mar-a-Lago and keep his jet and his businesses. This is fascinating things to think about. None of them are good. I think this is going to increase his numbers at the polling and at the voting booth. I do think so. The criminal ones, almost everybody's saying that's a problem. That'll be a problem for independent voter support and stuff. But that may not even come truthfully, really. That's quite possibly not going to come at all until he's already the president, in which case the only one that was a real threat to him was the Georgia one. As far as state cases where he can't pardon himself. The other ones, there's some threat ones in the Fed cases, but if he gets elected and he pardons himself, it's over. There's nothing's going to happen. And he already said he would most likely pardon himself. He's not going to get into that while he's running, but, and I would if I was him. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Let's go to Todd McKinney. We have two lines open, by the way, at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. That's 93.3 FM. Two lines open, 800-288-9227. Todd and McKinney, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, well, what about Maxine Waters? No one ever mentions her, and she's the one she created riots as far as I'm concerned, and no one even talks
about her. She created what?
Anymore.
I'm sorry, she created what?
I think she created riots. I mean, she's the one that if you see a person,
push on them, push up on them, yeah.
Just stalk them, basically. If you see them, then just get all over them,
Yeah, she's a Democrat, though, sir. She's a Democrat, and she checks all the right boxes, so she can do whatever she wants. She's fine.
Well,
and Joe and Hunter can. They take millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and by the way, they just threw the book at that FBI asset that came up with that 1023 form. That was still a valuable top asset who'd been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars from the FBI, an incredible one. But Joe said, get rid of that guy. I can't believe he's the one that did that. Get rid of him. And they just arrested him. A man named Alexei Smirnov or something. His last name is Smirnov. And they arrested him at an airport yesterday or today. The FBI did. So they're going to take but Joe is getting them all knocked out one by one through his DOJ.
Well, if Trump wins the president and and maybe we need to start doing the same thing to them and going after them and put the two-tier system on them like they did to us. And see how they like it. That's one thing I don't like about Republicans is they act wimpy. It seems like the Democrats are much smarter than them and devious. So, I mean...
We have to be careful to not become like them, though. That's the only thing. We have to be careful not to become them. But we also have to try to kill these strategies so they can't keep doing it. And I don't know what the solution is, but we're going to watch it. And I know Trump will hopefully do a good job with it. Thank you for your call, Todd. Let's go to Jason in North Richland Hills. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hello, Jason.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, so for the former caller that was just on, I appreciate what he says. However, I do want to say something. As far as what's going on now, it's a different world. These guys are using, as per Obama, and what we had, with his administration and what's been continuing on, this is pure Marxism. This is
I agree.
Divide and conquer 100%. I'm sorry?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I agree.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, that's all these guys are doing. I mean, this deal, these people are blatantly corrupt, and they're showing the American people, hey, look what we can do. We can take out what the United States is, and we can deploy something else, and we're going to pull people in from other countries that are our foes, and we're going to change this country to be a third world country, and we're going to be in full control of socialist communist government.
That's right.
They want to have a one-state party, 100%. They want to whole thing, and that's what we have today.
That's exactly right. And
all the things that they do, and they rub it in the face of the public, saying, we can do it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
What former president?
All these people in
what former
trying to make it a different place.
All right. What former President Hussein Obama did was he sicked the Five Eyes, the four of the Five Eyes, and said, "You find Trump associates before 2016, and you interdict them, you talk to them, you get to know them, you get intel off them, pretend like, and we're going to plant seeds that they're doing bad stuff with the spies and espionage stuff." And then they did that. So Hillary helped on that, and George, I think it was not George Tenet, that's an old guy. What's his name? The former head of the CIA, Brennan. He did that. And that's all coming out now. And that was under President Hussein Obama, former President Hussein Obama. So there you go. I appreciate your call. Great one. Look forward to your next one, my friend. I got to roll, Jason. But thank you very much for your call. Call in another time for another topic because you're on fire, and I like that. All right, Sandra in Fort Worth, Randy and McKinney, you guys are next. Randy and McKinney, you'll be right out of the box. Then Sandra. And you guys are going to be great callers. I already know it. And then we're also going to get to this coming up. We're going to take more of your calls on Trump being fined almost $500 million today when you include the extra fines of $95 million. And then also they're banning him from business for 3 years. All sorts of horrible things. His sons who did nothing, fining them $4 million each, and banning them for business for 2 years, even though they had nothing. Their documents, none of these documents had their names on it. They had nothing to do with it, but still, it's just destroying the Trump brand, the Trump name, and we should not stand for this. So we're going to talk to you next and get into that again next. And then listen, an AI campaign is recreating the voice of dead people who died in these school shootings in Uvalde and Parkland, and they're calling the politicians who disagree with them on trying to take away our guns. It is unbelievable what they're doing. It's next level stuff, and I'll be playing the audio for you, all that coming up next after we wrap up our campaign, Trump campaign getting nailed on this from this horrible New York State Attorney General on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.